All right, my friends, thank you guys for coming out today. You guys are amazing. Let me ask you a question. Do you accept the new normal? Lara, do you accept the new abnormal? Let me ask you another question. Do you accept the lockdowns? Do you accept the lockdowns? Will you be locked down again? Will this country be locked down again? Will our society be destroyed? Let's let those people know loud and clear. End the lockdown! End the lockdown! End the lockdown! End the lockdown! All right, you guys are awesome. I say it every weekend, be the change, and that is you guys. You guys are the leaders standing up, showing your face, so huge round of applause to you guys. And to all the leaders standing up worldwide, humanity will be free. We will have our freedom. Also, thank you to everybody watching this stream and partaking online. You guys are just as important, so thank you so much. Share this stream. Please get this out to everybody. All right, guys, let's give a huge round of applause to Melanie for the national anthem. Melanie! Not to screw up this stand.
Can I hold it? Is that okay?
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, Canada, our home and native land, true patriot love, in all our sons command. With glowing hearts we see thee rise, the true north, strong and free. From far and wide, O Canada, we stand on guard for thee. God, keep our land glorious and free. O Canada, we stand on guard for thee. O Canada, we stand on guard for thee.
Thank you, Melanie. That was amazing. Awesome. Another round of applause for Melanie. Thank you so much. Woo! My friends, do you love your freedom? Do you love your rights? Will you always stand for your rights and freedoms? Let me ask you another question. That building over there, is that your employees? Are they supposed to serve the people? That's right. Is this your country? Let's let them know loud and clear. Do your job. Do your job. Do your job. Do your job. What is that job? That's to serve you beautiful people. Thank you guys again for coming out. Let's invite up Father John. Come on down, Father John. Woo!
That should be good. My trifocals broke last week before I came here, so I have to wear my nerd glasses so I can read this. And I can't really, you're all a little blurry to me now, so. Have you heard the name, or the priest named, Father Georgi Gapon? If you have, you've most likely heard distorted accounts of him and his involvement in an event that took place on Sunday, January 9th, 1905, often referred to as Bloody Sunday. With charismatic sermons over a period of time, he convinced the factory workers of St. Petersburg to rise up against the government and assert their rights. From here, accounts of what really took place vary, but the results were the murder of Tsar Nicholas II and his family, who are now venerated by the Orthodox as passion-bearing saints, The 70-year yoke of the godless authorities referenced in the prayer that I finished these short speeches with, and the suffering and death of millions, including 350,000 of my fellow clergy, which I mentioned the first time I spoke here. This must not happen here. You must not let anything like that happen. Simply walk away if anything like that seems to be happening. My role here has not been as a protester or even to demand that the government respect our legal rights. My role here has been to pray for peace and to encourage goodwill and respect. I am also here as a private citizen, a private person. As clergy, I'm supposed to dress like this, but what I say and do does not necessarily reflect the thoughts of those whose authority I am under. You have something very unique here. I'm not sure if there are any rallies like this anywhere else in the entire world. This group has the support of the provincial sheriffs and the Edmonton police services. Be very thankful for this and do everything possible to ensure that this good relationship with law enforcement continues. However, as I mentioned a couple weeks ago, don't hug a cop while they're on duty. Okay, afterwards, that's a different story, but while on duty, it's not a good thing, okay? To encourage this ongoing respect and peace, I will paraphrase a quote from the Bible, Romans 14:3. Let not him who wears a face mask despise him who does not wear a face mask, and let not him who does not wear a face mask judge him who wears a face mask, for God has received him. And now a quote from St. Gabriel of Georgia. Love your enemies, it is clear, but how to love enemies of Christ? Stop hating, then you will be able to love them. And the prayer. You know, I've been speaking these prayers. I'm actually accustomed to chanting it, so I think I'll just chant it this time. O Lord Jesus Christ, our God, forgive our iniquities through the intercession of thy most pure mother. Save the suffering Canadian people from the yoke of the godless authorities. Amen. And in Father, Son, Holy Spirit, amen. Father, Son, Holy Spirit, amen. Father, Son, Holy Spirit, amen. Thank you.
Amen. Awesome. Let's give another round of applause to Father John. Thank you, sir. Thank you for coming down every week and inspiring us. You're an awesome man. Thank you. My friends, do we stand with the people of Toronto and Quebec? Yeah. Do we stand with the beautiful business owners that opened their business in Alberta? Yeah. Let's give them a round of applause, my friends. Freedom! 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 Do you love your rights, my friends? Do you love freedom? Let's let this government know loud and clear. Our rights are not up for grabs. There is no debate. Our rights are not up for grabs. There is no debate. Our rights are not up for grabs. There is no debate, period. Our rights are born into our being, period. That will never change. All right, my friends, let's invite up the angry Albertan. Woo! Huge round of applause for Josh.
If I could do this. Ooh, service? Yeah. I got those levels dialed in. We're good. Perfect. Hello, freedom fighters! What a beautiful day to stand up for liberty. The rebellion has begun! Together, we are forcing Kenny's hand. Either he backs down or shows himself to be the tyrant that we all know he is. Every time we have pushed back, Kenny has stepped back. But he is a clever propagandist and manipulator. His little games have worked up to this point. But together, we will make sure they do not work again. Each business that opens against these restrictions is another nail in the coffin of the COVID-19 fraud. Do not be fooled again. Left alone, Kenny and Hinshaw will keep us in lockdown forever. Even under his new plan, you won't have any semblance of freedom until May, and only if he says so. Even after all of that, you will still be forced masked, you will be social distancing, your activities will be restricted, and you and your children will still be suffering under the tyrannical boot of this government on your throats. If your business cannot afford to be restricted into summer, then open now! Together, we can overwhelm the bureaucrats and their enforcement capacity. We can grind the justice system to a screeching halt. If this government refuses to back down, they will be responsible for whatever happens next. They will do everything in their power to stop us. You will be ticketed. Liquor licenses will be suspended. Some may face arrest. They might change the locks on your business. But when we stand together, it will all stop. When we look back, these people that took the tickets and risked their life and limb will be the heroes. They will go down in history as defenders of humanity for eternity. All children will live a free life thanks to the actions of a few freedom fighters. Right now, the businesses disobeying are small in numbers, but those numbers are increasing every day. And the ones opening now are not stopping. They are taking their tickets and closure orders and clogging up the appeals system. We must support them. We must stand with them. No public health order ticket across the entire nation has been prosecuted successfully because they are against our Charter of Rights and Freedoms. If you get one, simply plead not guilty and send a copy to the JCCF or Rebel News. Your ticket will most likely be withdrawn like all the others. You must be smart, though. Do not dig a deeper hole than absolutely necessary. Refusing the orders of law enforcement could get you tickets that will stand in court. So if they tell you you are trespassing, leave when given the opportunity. Do not make life difficult for our police. They will wake up in time, and that time is rapidly approaching. The police are people too, with families to feed and support. They will come around. Right now, make their job easy. Take your ticket peacefully and respectfully. Our beef is not with the police, but rather this tyrannical, out-of-control government. The people are only beginning to awaken. Help them along. Now it is more important than ever before to wake up the people to the giant fraud laid out before them. This requires patience, care, sympathy, and love. They need to know that the tests are a fraud and why. They need to know that the hospitalization numbers are meaningless and why. They need to know the real risks of COVID-19 and its variants. They need to know that our hospitalizations are at a 5-year low. They need to know what liberty is and what it looks and feels like. And they need to know that they are not alone. So from this day forward, you are no longer in lockdown. Be free by your own choice. Support these businesses. Support each other. Visit with family. Visit with friends. Sit down to eat. Kneel to pray within your community. Sing and laugh together. Protest together. This will only end when we end it, and we are ending it now. We have the power. This game is all played in your mind. We are governed by consent. Take away the consent, you take away their authority. All we need is 3% of the Alberta population to end this forever. Your smile is your biggest weapon. Let your naked face shine like the sun. We are the happy warriors, and our condition is contagious. Liberty is the only pandemic Kenny really fears. We will not stand for this any longer. Freedom! 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 Freedom!
Ooh, you're tall. Awesome. Thank you so much, Angry Albertan. Huge round of applause for Angry Albertan. Woo! I want to echo what Josh said. Let's give a huge round of applause to the sheriffs and Edmonton Police Service. Thank you guys for standing behind our rights and freedoms. We appreciate you guys. So every time we do this rally, we'll just keep getting better and keep making it easier for them to stand behind us, guys. You guys are awesome, and you guys are the reason why this is all happening. So thank you again to you guys. Huge round of applause to you guys. Huge round of applause to everybody online watching this right now. Share this, my friend. Share, share, share. Get this out to everybody. My friends, I think it's time to send Jason Kenney a message. Do you accept the lockdown? No! Louder, do you accept the lockdown? No! Will you be locked down again? No! Will your country be locked down again? No! Let's let Jason Kenney know loud and clear. End the lockdown! End the lockdown! End the lockdown! End the lockdown! All right, my friends, you guys are awesome. Let's invite up Karen Dixon. Come on down, Karen. Woo! Huge round of applause for Karen.
Yeah, thank you. Welcome everybody on a warmer week than last week. This is amazing. Thank you so much for coming out. We've been told that the COVID-19 pandemic is the greatest threat we've ever faced. We've been told to sacrifice our lives, our businesses, our children's futures by our government. We've been told we're all in this together for the greater good. Why? To save the most vulnerable in care homes. But are we? Every measure put in place to protect the most vulnerable has destroyed their quality, quantity, and dignity of life. They are prisoners who have only seen the same 2 visitors for a year now. Actually, no. Since COVID-19, they have never seen an unmasked face, ever. Everything for their comfort and care has been stripped away. Even their families have been made afraid to visit. This is now the face of long-term care. But at least they're safe from the virus. Or are they? This is the most difficult speech I've had to make so far. But I won't stand idly by while residents suffer and die. Everything I am about to say can be verified, and I will attest to in a court of law. On Kenny, Shandro, and Hinshaw's orders, care homes locked their doors last March Anyone who questions this enforced isolation is told, we're just following orders. And now, the rollout of the vaccine is our priority. A vaccine that is already a cause for concern and death in care homes and is now under investigation in multiple countries across the world. But at least they're safe from the virus. At least we're all safe from the virus. Or are we? Last week, we discovered that AHS is moving COVID-positive patients into care homes. Just like they did in New York, which resulted in a cascade of deaths. We have this corroborated by multiple sources in and out of the system. It's common practice, commonly known within the medical, government, and judicial arenas. I have in writing that AHS, under the direction of Kenny, Shandro, and Hinshaw, are importing COVID infections into care homes. Absolutely, it is attempted murder. It's genocide. I'm getting there. Thank you. Keeping up. In Canada, we know that almost all COVID-associated deaths are in care homes. What our government is effectively doing is taking a tinderbox and throwing in a flamethrower. In Canada, my apologies, but the public, family and residents are being actively misled about this. Between AHS, Capital Care, and my mother's care centre, 1,000 people between staff, residents and families have been put at risk by this practice, which has resulted in endless lockdowns, neglect, and infection spread. How many more has this affected in other care homes? My mother's care home outbreak for COVID-19 cases has lasted almost 2 months. This is the most recent one. On outbreak means no transfers in or out of the centre and a raft of extremely restrictive measures on site. 2 weeks ago, a misleading email update sent to family implied that a COVID-positive resident had been identified on my mother's unit. This was a lie by omission. In fact, the COVID-positive patient had been transferred from an active treatment centre, hospital, directly to my mum's unit. Nowhere in this email does it state that this COVID-positive patient was transferred into a shared room with an uninfected elderly and mobile roommate. Nowhere in this email does it state that this COVID-positive patient was transferred to a unit that had never had a COVID case before this point. How is this, as per IPC, Infection Prevention Control, placed on isolation? This mobile roommate wasn't made aware of the risk. I'm sure their family weren't either. This mobile roommate had no idea that they were going to be confined to their room with a COVID-positive person for the next 2 weeks and placed at risk by AHS. She is. This mobile roommate was seen to leave their room unsupervised and placing others at risk. No PPE, no sanitization, no protocols followed or enforced. This is not the fault of these poor residents. They are victims of circumstances and the failed policies of AHS. The roommate stood on a red X taped on the floor immediately outside the door of their room and the adjacent shared room. I watched as the roommate was crying, "Why can't I leave my room? I don't have COVID." The COVID positive patient lay in the bed next to them without a mask, no barriers, the door to the shared room open. These residents spent 2 weeks in the same room, neither wearing PPE, unsupervised, one of which, remember, is a COVID positive case. When the general public can't even visit their own family, how is this helping anyone or saving the most vulnerable? Why is this government, AHS, and the care homes being so cavalier with care? Is it because COVID isn't the risk they tell us every day it is? If so, why have we destroyed society? If it is the risk that they drum into us daily, then AHS is taking steps to actively kill high-risk residents. Is it because active treatment beds in a hospital cost more than care home beds? Which is it, AHS? Why is this being hidden from the public, ignored by the media? Staff are being actively threatened to keep this quiet. Albertans have sacrificed everything for this government and AHS's false claim of saving those at risk. Saving money is clearly more important than saving lives. Residents and staff have suffered countless rounds of testing with a PCR test that AHS and Kenny admit is unfit for purpose. Staff are required to wear PPE for hours on end, yet all cases in most care homes until very recently came from staff testing asymptomatic positive. Staff are not able to do their jobs effectively when they're smothered in PPE, which frankly appears to be no more than virtue signaling and was never worn like this before in outbreak situations. Masks and shields put staff health at risk, especially those who have pre-existing conditions. That in turn risks the residents that they care for. Management know this, but they just follow orders. PPE is not changed regularly. It's worn continuously. Sometimes it's reused, all against infection protocols. This is a health and safety issue, well documented by staff, by our family, and supported by many studies in this area before COVID-19. Those who force these dangerous practices may well find themselves personally and professionally liable. How on earth is anyone, thank you, how on earth is anyone not questioning these absolutely pointless and frankly insane policies which have done nothing than create despair, suffering, and death for us all? Care homes are struggling with staff shortages based on these protocols. Those that are left, same as in hospitals, are overworked to the point that they can't even provide basic care. In Edmonton, in my mother's care home alone, we have documented multiple cases of neglect, including but not limited to pressure sores, open infections, osteomyelitis, dehydration, lack of nutrition, lack of sanitation, lack of primary physician interaction, changes to medication without the consent of physician or physician's knowledge, removal of visitation rights, supported illegally by an Edmonton zone medical officer, isolation of residents with cognitive impairments, contrary to the public health order, forced use of masks and shields, contrary to the public health order, and more. Everybody knows COVID-19 is an influenza-like illness. Treatment protocols and therapies, hydroxychloroquine, azithromycin, zinc, vitamin C and D to boost the immune system, appropriate O2 therapy, all of it's been ignored. Worse, here in Alberta, doctors have actually been actively threatened for prescribing hydroxychloroquine. And what are we told? If we have symptoms, go home, isolate, recover, which you're more than likely going to do. If you get worse, we'll hook you up to a ventilator. This is nothing less than a death sentence for somebody with an ILI. Did we mask, socially distance, lock down society, test, isolate for ILIs before COVID-19? No. Now, our only hope rests not on the cancelled HOPE trial in Calgary for hydroxychloroquine, but on never-ending lockdowns and non-existent vaccines. Canadians have a right to a range of treatment options, freedom to life based on informed choice and risk-based analysis, especially those in care homes who have so little life left to live. I have said before there will be a reckoning for this egregious malpractice and malfeasance, which has and is continuing to result in suffering and death far beyond the risk posed by any virus. Tried and tested outbreak protocols were in place for decades at care homes before COVID-19. There is a reason the current practices have never been used like this before. Really, it's very simple. Either this is the most deadly virus the world has ever known, and none of us should ever leave our homes, or those in power know it is not. And all these measures, in effect, are nothing more than theatre. This is not health care. It is health scare. It is time to expose this crime. Time for those responsible to be held to account. Time is running out. Our loved ones, all of us, need to be heard, not hurt. Here's an update. As of 5:24 p.m. Thursday this week, my mother's care home is now deemed COVID-free. All cases are now resolved. Sounds like a bonus, right? No, it's not. Just like us. Still it remains on outbreak status. No changes to restrictions at all. Do you still believe in Kenny's path moving forward? So please tell me, Jason Kenney, Tyler Shandro, Dina Hinshaw, and AHS, just how do you justify saving the most at risk to death? Saving us all to death.
Right on, let's make some noise again for Karen. Woo, Karen! Right on. My friends, I got a question for you. Do you stand with the people of Quebec and Toronto? Or Quebec and Ontario, I'm sorry. That's right, we do. We will always stand behind all Canadians, all human beings. Let me ask you another question. Do you accept the new abnormal? No. Louder, do you accept the new abnormal? No. Let's let this government know loud and clear. No new normal. No new normal. No new normal. No new normal. You hear that, Jason Kenney? We will never accept your new abnormal. Let's welcome up Brandy. Come on down, Brandy. Come on down, Brandy.
That's good. Thank you. Thank you. Hey, freedom fighters! So it has now been 2 weeks since Kenny has allowed us in the wellness industry to open our doors. It has been an exhausting couple weeks, to say the least. The roller coaster of having to postpone clients who had appointments during the shutdown to booking additional clients who have been waiting to get their hair done takes its toll, not only on the body, but the mind. While I am grateful to be booked up these last 2 weeks and 2 more moving forward, I can't help but think about those who weren't allowed to open. I read an absolutely appalling article that mainstream media put out a few days ago regarding the barbershop in Innisfail that opened their business against health restrictions. 2 salon owners represented themselves and 10 other salons in town at a council meeting about their thoughts on what the barbershop had done. The hairstyling industry is very competitive and cutthroat, and I have been in this industry for 15 years, and I can say I have never been more disappointed in the behavior of a stylist, let alone a business owner, than I am in these 2 ladies and the salons they represented. They said things like, her defiance of restrictions was a COVID wound that ruptured and divided a town, that they only opened for themselves to fill their pocketbook. They did this without contacting the hairstylist community personally to see how they felt about it, and that they could have worked together to come up with some type of petition to get salons opened. Well, petitions do not work, and that has already been proven with gyms and salons the first time around. I can honestly say without a doubt that if Blades to Fades Barbershop in Innisfail and the tattoo studios that opened against restrictions hadn't stood up, we would not have been allowed to open. Heck, I wish I would have had the guts to open. I, for one, support you, Natalie Klein. We all support you. The people are powerless in the eyes of the government. Only when they see real pushback and businesses standing up did this government and Hinshaw take it upon themselves to deem us fit and safe to open once again. Even though it was stated by Kenny weeks prior, there had been no transmission from the wellness industry. 2 places that I have gone for my mental health, a tanning salon and a yoga studio, both in Leduc, closed their doors permanently these past few weeks. It is both sad and infuriating at the same time that these people had to close their doors, give up their dreams and financial security for their families due to these unnecessary shutdowns. All their hard work, their passion, just taken away. I am allowed to be open, and as much as I am happy for that, I also feel like we should all be open for business and back to life. Restaurants and 1 gym have opened this week against health restrictions. With the pushback from them, Kenny decided to throw us yet another crumb with his projected path forward. Keeping hospitalizations under 600 could lead potential openings of restaurants, gyms, youth sports activities. People were ecstatic that we did it, Alberta. We opened. Wait, what? His wording was potential opening, not for sure, guys. Some mainstream media are using the headline of Kenny easing restrictions as cases are lowered. To me, that is a slap in the face to small businesses, as it is a lie. And when hospitalizations do not go down, the ones that opened and defied the restrictions will be blamed. Kenny treats small businesses like abuse victims. He throws the false hope crumb with conflicting wording, and his victims eat it up. It's no different than a victim forgiving their abuser because they cook them dinner or say, "I'm sorry I knocked you out 6 months ago, it won't happen again," and then blames you when it does. Businesses that opened need to stay open, and more need to follow. The only way to change things is to be the change. I want to tell you a story about a new client who messaged me this week. She had seen my previous speech and reached out to me in support of small businesses. She is mask exempt due to health issues. She is in a wheelchair that has already faced an uphill battle as a disabled person to get adequate care even before the restrictions were put in place for COVID-19. Up until the second reopening of salons, she was able to receive her services mask-free. Her stylist works in a larger salon. The salon group has decided that they are no longer accommodating any mask-exempt clients for fear of being closed down. This is despite many clients saying they do not agree with the mask mandate. This broke my heart. Why are employers supporting what is quite obviously discrimination when provisions are made in the order for those who have exemptions? There are actually many more mask exemptions in the provincial health bylaws than there are in the City of Edmonton mask mandate. As businesses, I feel we must do better to accommodate the needs of all our clients. Well, I honor mask exemptions, and I will not refuse service to anyone who is mask exempt. So I was happy to take her as a new client and build yet another relationship. So with all that being said, until that happens, I will be here every Saturday on one of my most busy days at the salon to stand up and fight for us, for Canadians, small businesses, and for truth and humanity. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you, Brandy. Huge round of applause for Brandy. Thank you so much. Thank you for standing up for small businesses. You are amazing. Awesome. Let me ask you a question, my friends. Do you accept the new abnormal? Louder, do you accept the new abnormal? I got another question for you. Do you accept Justin Trudeau as your criminal leader? Do you accept Crime Minister Justin Trudeau locking you down? Let's let him know loud and clear. End the lockdown! End the lockdown! End the lockdown! End the lockdown! Awesome, thank you guys. To everybody online, please share this link. And also, everybody, let's give everybody online a massive round of applause. Thank you for joining us every weekend. You guys are amazing. Keep sharing that link. All right, guys, let's welcome up Chris. Welcome up, Chris. Chris is an advisor for OH&S. We're going to sneak him in here. He just wants to speak quickly to you guys. He also has these amazing pamphlets for you guys, so please approach Chris throughout the protest and get that information for your friends and family. So let's welcome Chris. Welcome, Chris.
He's a Good day, everyone. My name's Chris Schaefer. I just wanted to talk to you guys a little bit about what's going on. If you've been attending for a while, you know that I'm very outspoken on the harm that these mask mandates are doing to people. And I just want to let you know that there are small victories along the way. We are having municipalities, quite a few municipalities actually drop and either cancel their mask mandates or else let them expire in a natural way without renewing them. So just in the past week, we've had, I spoke with Grand Prairie, I was invited to speak to Grand Prairie City Council on last Monday, and nice enough, after which they voted to cancel any renewal of their mask mandate. I received notification on Tuesday from a group in Beaumont that after we had spoken with City Council there on Tuesday, they voted to not renew their mask mandate in Beaumont. So the evidence is clear. It's not my opinion. These masks that are recommended, these face covers that block your airflow, are harmful. They're harmful in the short term, they're harmful in the long term. It's easy to demonstrate and easy to prove. So come and get the truth on it. If you haven't seen this brochure, the letter that I wrote to Dr. Hinshaw that contains all that essential information. And I just wanted to leave you with one quote from Mahatma Gandhi, and that is that he says when he led that large peaceful rebellion, like say 70 odd years ago, this is what he said. He said, at first they will ignore you. Then they will mock you. Then they will fight you. And then we win. Thank you.
Right on. Thank you, Chris. Huge round of applause, Chris. How about a massive round of applause for everybody who's risking their job to get the truth out? Wow, huge round of applause for that. My friends, do you accept the new abnormal? Will you accept the new abnormal? Louder, do you accept the new abnormal? Let's let our public servants know loud and clear. No new normal. No new normal. No new normal. No new normal. Awesome. Thank you guys once again. Okay, guys, a couple more speeches and then we're going to start rocking with the march. Quick reminder, if there's any left, there's some hot chocolate and donuts. Just clean that up before we go, guys. All right, guys, let's invite up Teresa. Come on up, Teresa.
Hi, everybody. I've been coming to these rallies for many, many weeks, off and on, since the summertime, and it's been a wonderful thing to be a part of and feel like we can be who we are here and meant to be, loving and kind and accepting and willing to listen and willing to hear and allow and stand together against something that is truly horrific that is going on in the world right now. And to that end, I belong to a group called Vaccine Choice Canada, and I'm here. Thanks. They're doing really, really good work, and they have been for about 40 years. They're spreading awareness about the risks of vaccine. They are not necessarily anti-vax, as the hostile projection is spewed out there in the world. They are very well aware, and very often people become aware because they've personally experienced some kind of reaction in that regard. And personally, my mother was given a rubella vaccine a couple of weeks before I was conceived, and I was born with a cleft lip and palate, and she believes, and I trust her motherly intuition because I too am a mother of 3 kids. And because I'm a mother also, and because I've had that experience, and because I'm also a teacher who's not currently teaching in this regime because I refuse to participate in it. I'm aware of it from many different angles, and as a parent, I know that, or believed that, and still do believe that acquiring immunity naturally is very, very valuable. And we have an innate immune system, which, you know, we're all able to nurture and develop. Anyway, I'm going to read to you the guts of this letter from Vaccine Choice Canada, prepared by Vaccine Choice Canada. There are 23 references at the end of it. You can access it on Vaccine Choice Canada's website. If you scroll down to the bottom, it is under the featured articles. There's also a letter that you could send to, you can send this letter to friends and family. You can send it to healthcare workers and first responders as well. And Vaccine Choice Canada is a public information and resource group. So, the COVID-19 vaccine concerns. COVID vaccines are human experimentation. The Pfizer and Moderna vaccines have been granted interim approval by Health Canada, even though they have not been adequately tested for either safety or efficacy. This means that the use of the COVID-19 vaccine is technically considered to be human experimentation. The normal development timeline of a vaccine product is 5 to 10 years. It's impossible to identify the effects of a vaccine in the few months the product has existed. The most significant concern with the Pfizer and Moderna vaccines is the introduction of messenger RNA, DNA, technology. This technology has never before been injected into humans on such a mass scale. The consequences of injecting genetic altering technology into a human body is unknown. The potential exists for catastrophic consequences, not only for the person receiving the vaccine, but for all future generations, as it is highly likely that the mRNA DNA in the vaccine will combine with the recipient's own DNA and be transmitted to their offspring. The use of this novel technology is especially disconcerting, given COVID-19 vaccine manufacturers have been granted total immunity from liability for any harm or injury caused by their products. I'll say it again. They've been granted total immunity from liability. No other products are given that. Federal Procurement Minister Anita Anand justified the indemnity in the following statement. All countries, generally speaking, are faced with the issue of indemnification of companies, especially in cases of novel technologies like this. Ordinarily, a novel technology would demand a higher level of oversight and accountability, not less. Normal protocols to test the safety of vaccines include testing in animals prior to testing in human subjects. This protocol is even more essential for a coronavirus vaccine. All previous efforts to develop a coronavirus vaccine over the last 60 years have failed because the vaccine caused an exaggerated immune response upon re-exposure to the virus. This pathological priming resulted in severe injury and death to the test animals. In the rush to develop a COVID vaccine, Health Canada has permitted vaccine makers to bypass animal testing and move directly to testing on humans. Health Canada has also granted Pfizer and Moderna permission to deploy their vaccines in the general population without completing phase 3 trials. This is unprecedented in vaccine development. Health authorities admit that long-term safety data does not exist for the vaccine. There is no data that defines the vaccine's interaction with other vaccines or prescription medications. COVID-19 vaccines have not been tested for their ability to cause cancer, induce organ damage, change genetic information, impact the fetus of a pregnant woman, or to impair fertility. William Hasseltine, A former Harvard Medical School professor states that these protocols seem designed to get a drug on the market on a timeline arguably based more on politics than public health. Okay, item 2. The vaccine may not prevent infection or transmission. Many individuals eager to receive a COVID-19 vaccine are under the notion that the vaccine will protect them from the SARS-CoV-2 virus. The reality is that COVID-19 vaccine makers are not required to demonstrate that their product prevents either infection or transmission of the virus. Can you believe that? Vaccine manufacturers are also not required to demonstrate that the vaccine will result in a reduction in severe illness, hospitalization, or death. According to a report in the British Medical Journal, hospital admissions and deaths from COVID-19 are simply too uncommon in the population being studied for an effective vaccine to demonstrate statistically significant differences in a trial of 30,000 people. The same is true of its ability to save lives or prevent transmission. The trials are not designed to find out. This begs the question, what benefit will the COVID-19 vaccine actually confer? Public health authorities have stated that vaccine recipients will still be required to wear a face covering, maintain physical distance, and avoid crowds. The CDC's own data confirms that over 80% of individuals who test positive for COVID-19 are without symptoms. For those individuals, a risk-benefit analysis could only conclude that a COVID-19 vaccine will result in substantially more risk than benefit. Item 3. COVID-19 is a low lethality illness for most, so most are not going to die from COVID-19. Many individuals who intend to be at the front of the line for the COVID-19 vaccine will do so because they believe COVID-19 is an illness with a high rate of mortality. This fear creates a sense of panic that compels people to accept a medical product with an unknown safety profile. Our federal and provincial governments and the mainstream media persist in describing COVID-19 as a deadly condition. This is simply not true for the vast majority of the population. The risk of mortality is primarily to those over 80 years of age in poor health and residing in extended care facilities. The median age of death attributed to COVID-19 is 82 years. Almost all were frail with several comorbidities. According to the CDC, the case survival rate of COVID-19 in patients aged 0 to 19 is 99.997%, 99.98% in patients 20 to 49 years, and 99.5% in patients 50 to 69 years. What is also rarely acknowledged by our government, public health officers, and the corporate media is that safe and effective drugs and vitamins and mineral supplements for the prevention and treatment of COVID-19 have been identified. Yes, yes indeed. Such treatments negate the need for an emergency use vaccine. Unfortunately, these treatments are rarely discussed, much less encouraged. Even more disconcerting is that Canadians are not given access to effective treatments such as hydroxychloroquine and ivermectin. The only Health Canada recommended intervention is oxygen therapy and ventilation. Item 4, Health Canada oversight is insufficient. Many Canadians assume Health Canada provides rigorous oversight and would never permit a vaccine to be introduced to the Canadian public without robust testing to ensure both safety and effectiveness. The fact is that Health Canada does not conduct its own clinical trials to determine the safety and efficacy of a vaccine. Instead, Health Canada relies on the data provided by the vaccine manufacturers. Health Canada also holds the perspective that it is not necessary for vaccine makers to test their products against a neutral placebo, ever. The gold standard for safety testing. Canadians may not be aware that vaccine producers such as Pfizer, Merck, and GlaxoSmithKline have paid billions in criminal penalties and settlements for research fraud, faking drug safety studies, failing to report safety problems, bribery, kickbacks, and false advertising. In 2009, Pfizer paid $2.3 billion to resolve criminal and civil allegations in what was then the largest healthcare fraud settlement in history. Canadians may also not be aware that the Vaccine Injury Compensation Program in the United States has paid out more than $4.4 billion in compensation for vaccine injury and death since 1989, and that Canada is one of only 2 G20 nations without a national vaccine injury compensation program. While a vaccine injury compensation program has been promised, the details have yet to be announced. This letter, by the way, was prepared January 10th. I don't know personally whether any progress or information has been provided in that regard. Vaccines are not benign medical products. Vaccination is an invasive medical procedure that delivers by injection complex biochemical drugs and now genetic modifying technology. Because of this complexity and uncertainty, the level of safety testing ought to be even more rigorous. But this is not the case. The safety testing of the COVID-19 vaccine is less rigorous and more incomplete as compared with other pharmaceutical drugs. The consequences of rushing a novel and inadequately tested product can be serious, permanent, and even deadly. Data following the administration of the Pfizer vaccine reveals that 2.8% of test subjects experienced a health impact significant enough such that they were unable to perform normal daily activities, unable to work, and required care from a health professional. If the entire Canadian population were to be vaccinated, more than 900,000 people could experience a health impact of this significance. Item 5, no individualized risk-benefit analysis. The arguments used to legitimize, legalize, and implement COVID-19 vaccination are political and ideological rather than evidence-based. In the rush to approve a COVID-19 vaccine, an analysis of the risks versus the benefits has not been conducted. Indeed, how does one conduct a risk-benefit analysis when both the risks and the benefits are unknown? Some researchers have described the use of a COVID-19 vaccine in the general population as the most reckless and brazen experiment in the history of humanity. Further, implementing a one-size-fits-all policy assumes the risk and the benefit is the same for everyone. This fails to take into consideration the established fact that the risk of COVID-19 varies greatly depending upon several known variables, most especially age and pre-existing conditions. These variables must be considered when assessing the risk and the benefit of this medical device. I'm on the last item. Item 6. Informed consent is essential. Yes. The mandate of Vaccine Choice Canada has been and continues to be protecting the health sovereignty of Canadians, which inherently includes the right to informed consent. Informed consent is the most fundamental aspect of health sovereignty, an ethical medical system, and a free and democratic society. It is imperative that any individual contemplating getting a COVID-19 vaccine be fully aware that the vaccine has not undergone the most basic testing to demonstrate either safety or efficacy, and that they are participating in human experimentation. In a letter dated October 3rd, 2020, Dr. Michael Yeadon, a former vice president, of Pfizer stated, all vaccines against the SARS-CoV-2 virus are by definition novel. If any such vaccine is approved for use under any circumstances that are not explicitly experimental, I believe that recipients are being misled to a criminal extent. Yeah. Secondly, we hold that any medical intervention requires voluntary consent. Canada is a signatory to the Universal Declaration of Bioethics and Human Rights, which describes consent as follows. Any preventive, diagnostic, and therapeutic medical intervention is only to be carried out with the prior, free, and informed consent of the person concerned, based on adequate information. The consent should, where appropriate, be expressed and may be withdrawn by the person concerned at any time and for any reason without disadvantage or prejudice. According to the Nuremberg Code, developed in response to the medical abuses of the Nazi regime, informed voluntary consent means that the person involved should be able to exercise free power of choice without the intervention of any element of force, fraud, deceit, duress, overreaching, or other ulterior form of constraint or coercion. Those advocating for mandates and other coercive measures that remove the right to voluntary consent are undermining essential individual rights and freedoms. This is a clear violation of the Canadian Charter and also medical ethics. It's important to understand that we have the legal right to refuse any unwanted medical intervention. For more information, you can visit vaccinechoicecanada.com. And as there are a list of references, there's all sorts of other resources and information available on that site if you're interested in exploring further. Thank you so much for your time, and take good care, everybody.
My friends, do you accept the new abnormal? Louder, do you accept the new abnormal? One more time, do you accept the new abnormal? Will you ever accept the new normal? No new normal! No new normal! No new normal! No new normal! You got it. My friends, do you want the right to choose what goes in your body? Do you want the right to choose what goes on your body? Do you want the right to choose what's right for your family? Awesome, my friends. Let's do something super cool and special right now, my friends. I need all your voices and all your energy for this, guys. Let's do a massive shout out to every single protest that's happening worldwide right now. Woo! Yeah! All right. Let's do it again. Let's give another shout out for the provinces that are facing more restrictions than us right now. Woo! Right on. Let's give another shout out to all the people online sharing this post. Woo! Awesome, guys. Do you accept the lockdown? Will we be locked down again? That's right, my friends. End the lockdown! End the lockdown! End the lockdown! End the lockdown! All right, only one more time. The biggest round of applause yet for you guys. Woo! Yeah, you guys are awesome. All right, my friends, who wants to go out there and march? Who wants to go show Canada that freedom will exist? Awesome. One more speech, guys, from David Dixon. Come on down, David. Huge round of applause for David. Woo! Yeah.
He can shout louder than me. And I actually heard him without the megaphone at the beginning. Okay, before we start, testing, COVID-19, COVID-19. Right, today I'm going to talk to all the retired prosecutors out there, all the retired and serving police officers. This week, some of you may have been listening to the homeless person with a pumpkin on his head. Go back and watch my speech last week. It was embarrassing. I called for police officers to stand up. I don't know whether they were listening, but this week, a bunch of serving police officers from Alberta wrote a letter and finally stood up. They wanted to remind their colleagues that if they're not paying attention, they themselves could be committing criminal offences. We have a saying in the police: ignorance of the law is no excuse. So everyone in CPS that has been assisting FAC, that's a Provincial Health Authority of Canada, a bunch of FACers. Before you go assisting these people to remove Canadian citizens and foreign nationals into detention centres in Calgary, you might want to read the Quarantine Act. Alberta Health and Jason Kenney, your tweets today about how you had nothing to do with the unlawful detainment of Canadian citizens and Alberta residents in a hotel outside of Calgary Airport. I suggest you read the Quarantine Act. Canada Health cannot set up detainment facilities under the Quarantine Act without the permission of the provincial government and the Provincial Health Authority. So you are complicit. The tests that they are forcing people to take. We heard this week that Nicky Mattis took the wrong test. Well, I suggest Calgary Police, the RCMP, and every other police officer out there goes and reads that act. Canada Health, read that act. You cannot use a screening test that uses a device that enters the human body. And the last time I checked, the inside of my mouth and the inside of my nose had the word inside in it. Anybody who coerces or intimidates somebody and takes away their freedoms is committing a criminal offence. Calgary Police, you were not escorting these federal medical officers to a hotel. You were assisting them in committing a crime. And ignorance of the law is no excuse. I am done waiting for lawsuits in civil court. I am done waiting for our chief to actually get off her backside and do what the courts are supposed to do and oversee and stop the government overreach. So I am asking all of my ex-colleagues, ex-police officers, serving police officers, ex-prosecutors, you have read the law. You understand the criminal actions that are taking place. It is time for you to stand up and take action. Now you're making me cough.
COVID alert.
Pre-existing condition. Fuck off. That's PHAC. Businesses that are opening this week may want to take note of these criminal potential charges that can be laid when somebody comes in and intimidates or coerces without lawful authority. I will remind Alberta Health Services that the laws you say you are relying on have never been proven in court. So if they are proven in court to not have any standing, you can and will be charged criminally. Police officers, your colleagues wrote a letter to remind you, if you intimidate or coerce, you will be found. Sorry, I need to take a breath every now and again. You will be held accountable. It is time to do your job. Your job is not to follow orders from some bureaucrat from Alberta Health who hasn't read the orders. If you, as a police officer, can't quote every line from the orders you are stating you are following, anyone here, the sheriff, can you tell me what section 24 of Order 42/2020 is? Item H, no? What about item C? No? Well, then stay away from people with masks and without masks. If you don't understand the law, you have no business enforcing it. One last time, a reminder for all my colleagues who love to quote it. We all did. When somebody says, I didn't know, ignorance of the law is no excuse. Lastly, I do want to say thank you to the sheriffs. Everybody wave to the sheriffs. Say thank you. They're here every week. And EPS, hi, I know you're watching. if you could have a word with your colleagues up at CPS and give them a brain, that would be helpful. Now EPS is actually leaving us alone. While they leave us alone, that's a good thing. They understand, and I suspect some of the serving officers that wrote the letter this week were part of EPS. But it's time the rest of them, whoever you are, and if you're a retired police officer, if you're a retired prosecutor, please get hold of me. It's time we stop standing back and watching the government run roughshod over businesses and over people. Anybody who thinks that we all should be frightened of this virus should have listened to these speeches today and understand what is really going on in care homes. One of the things that wasn't mentioned today is it's actually irrelevant whether these people are moving in, and they are emptying hospitals right now. Nurses and care workers all over the province are saying, where are all the old people going? The ones that are in the hospitals. They're being moved into care centres. Some of them are sick, some of them are not. It doesn't really matter when they get to the care home, because the policies that are implemented are they are locked down, and that causes harm. When the care home doesn't have the ability to look after the residents, people die. I said last week, Dina Hinshaw and Jason Kenny, there is blood on your hands. Well, this week we found the proof. So you either step down and give us this province back, or the province will take it back. Open up on Monday. There are not enough police to stop you. If the province thinks it's safe to put COVID elderly in the highest risk environments that there is on the planet, then it's safe for you to open your doors.
Take it back! 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 Awesome, guys. Can you guys do me one more favor and lend me your voices one more time? Let's give a massive round of applause to the sheriffs. Woo! My friends, we've been here since April, and those people have stood behind us the whole way. The same with the EPS. They've been backing us up and keeping us safe out in traffic the whole time. So thank you to them. Thank you to every police officer and government servant that is backing up the people, not using the people. So one more round of applause to them, guys. Woo! All right, I lied. One more round of applause for you guys again, too. And the people online, right on! And the people across Canada standing up. Do you guys want to march? Are you ready to march? Are you ready to get out there and show Canadians what freedom looks like? Awesome. Okay, guys, we're going to do the same thing as usual. I'd like to get the marshals over here again, start collecting, start getting ready to go. So like before, we get better every time, guys. We get more organized. Let's defer to our marshals when we're moving through traffic, so they will let us know when to move and when to not move. They'll also let us know if there's ice on the ground or anything like that. If we have an issue with anybody out there, please once again defer to the marshals. If they're not around you, just respond always with peace and love and compassion. We are all Canadians, and those people will realize the system betrayed them as well. We'll be there waiting for them. All right, guys, let's have a peaceful and amazing march. Before we go, mingle for about 10 minutes. And there's lots of hot chocolate, guys. That hot chocolate is piping hot, so get it into you. I believe there's still some donuts, too. So help those people out, drink that hot chocolate up, and enjoy it. All right, guys, mingle.